Welcome everyone. In this video we're going to take a look at how we can move data between Google Earth and QGIS and ArcGIS. So here I have a project loaded and I want to move this first to QGIS. Perhaps I want to use this design as a base for further design work that I can do in QGIS where I have access to more sophisticated CAD tools. The first thing to do is to make sure that all of these objects are placed under the same folder. Now at the moment they are placed under 3 folders. And those 3 folders are themselves placed under this one main folder called project. So I can just export this entire project folder and then import that into QGIS. To export the folder out, I'm just going to right click on it, go under Save Place As, and then I'm going to navigate to a location on my desktop where I want to save it to, and save it out either as a KMZ or KML. It doesn't matter in this case. I'm just going to save it out as a KMZ. Now I can navigate to my desktop, grab the KMZ file and drag it and drop it directly into the QGIS viewport. Now this window is going to pop up and QGIS is going to detect how many folders I'm trying to import and how many features are listed under each folder, as well as their geometry type. In this case, I want to import just these 3 folders. I don't want to import the project folder because it's just going to be empty since it has no features under it. So I'm going to make sure that the 3 folders I want to import are highlighted just by selecting the first one, holding the Shift button on the keyboard and selecting the last one. And then I'm going to press on OK. Now we can see all of our features have been imported. A couple of things to note. The first one is that QGIS is most likely going to preserve the same style that you have applied to any of those features inside of Google Earth. So if we were to compare it with Google Earth, we can see that the same style was retained. The other thing, however, is that it's going to merge all of these features into one layer. So for instance, in Google Earth under the Access Roads folder, we can see that we have all of our features as separate objects. But in QGIS, all of those features are going to be merged under one layer. They're still going to be listed as separate objects under the attribute table. So if I were to open that just by selecting the layer first and then clicking on the attribute table icon in the toolbar, and now we can see that all of those features are still listed under this layer as separate objects. So if necessary, we could still select each of those features independently from the others, or we could even pull all of them out from this layer and have them as independent features listed here under our layer stack. But by default, this is how QGIS is going to import KMZ files. So when it comes to QGIS, importing from Google Earth is fairly straightforward. You simply drag and drop the KML or KMZ file. It should also automatically georeference all of these files and overlay them correctly in the world. And we can verify that by pulling up a Google Maps overlay in this project. So I'm going to enable the satellite hybrid map here. And we can see that the objects are overlaid correctly just as we had them inside of Google Earth. Now we can take a look at how we can import data into ArcGIS. Now unfortunately there is no way of bringing in KMZ or KML files directly into ArcMap using just its default functionality. To be able to do that, you will need to have an extension that you can purchase separately from Esri. To enable the extension, I'm going to go under the Windows menu and enable the search panel. And then in the search field, I'm going to type KML. And the tool that we are looking for is the KML to layer tool under the conversion extension. So if you were to get this tool from Esri, you would have to get the entire conversion toolbox, which contains this tool, as well as the tool that allows you to export from ArcMap to KML, which is the layer 2 KML tool that we can see here. But now we want to bring in a KML file into ArcMap. So I'm going to click on the KML to layer tool. And then under input KML file, we have to locate the file that we want to import. I'm going to click on the browser icon to the far right, and I'll navigate to my desktop and select the project.kmz and click on open. Everything else here can stay at default, and I'm just going to click on OK. And now we can see that all of our features were brought in. Again, just as with QGIS, ArcMap is going to try and preserve the style that we had applied inside of Google Earth to all of our features. And just like QGIS, it's going to merge all of the features that we imported under one layer, but we can still call them out independently from one another just by isolating them using the attribute table. Now there's another way by which we can bring features into ArcMap, and that is by importing them into QGIS first and then exporting them out as a shapefile, for example. So if I go back to QGIS And let's say that I want to export out the access roads layer. I'm just going to right click on that and then go under export and save features as. Then under file format, I'm going to set as reshape file. And then I'm going to click on the ellipsis button to the far right of the file name field and choose a location where I want to save the file to and give it a name. I'm going to call this access. And for file type, we'll have as reshape file. I'm going to click on save on that. Then we can choose which attribute fields we want to export. In this case, I'm just going to leave all of them at default like that. Everything else also can stay at default. I'm going to just uncheck the add saved file to map box because otherwise the file is going to be re-imported back into QGIS once it's been exported. And in this case, I don't need it to do that. So with that done, I'm going to click on OK. Now I'm going to go to my desktop and we can see the access.shp file here together with its complementary files. Now, like we've already mentioned many times before, it is important that all of these files, the main file and all of its complementary files, stay together in the same folder and they should never be separated because they're referencing each other and carrying information about one another. From here, I can take the main access.shp file and drag and drop it in ArcMap. And we can see that now the roads were imported. If I toggle on the visibility of our previous import, everything should be overlain correctly. So if you don't want to get any extensions for ArcMap, this is one way by which you can circumvent its native limitations. And this wraps it up for this video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next sessions.